Madison Square Garden, New York City. October 1970.
One question. Keep
Saturday
moving, don't
night.
stop.
18,000 voices roaring in unison. The air thick with sweat and anticipation. Muhammad Ali's comeback fight. 3 years banned from boxing for refusing the Vietnam draft. 3 years of silence. Tonight, the world would hear him again. But the story everyone remembers isn't the one that happened in the ring. It's the one that happened in a narrow concrete corridor, 20 feet from Ali's dressing room, where a man who weighed 135 pounds taught a 450-pound bodyguard a lesson about the difference between size and power. Bruce Lee hadn't come to New York looking for conflict. He'd come to watch his friend fight. He admired Ali's movement, the way the heavyweight champion floated across the canvas like water, the way he understood distance and timing without thinking. These weren't just boxing techniques. They were principles. And Bruce, always studying, always learning, wanted to see them in person. They'd met the year before at a demonstration in Los Angeles. After Bruce performed, Ali stayed behind. They talked for over an hour. About water. About formlessness. About fighting without fighting. Two men from completely different worlds, finding common ground in the language of movement. So when Bruce heard Ali was fighting in New York, he made the trip. No phone call. No VIP arrangement. He just showed up, walked through the public entrance, and made his way backstage. The backstage area was chaos. Trainers shouting. Promoters arguing about money. Journalists hunting for quotes. Camera crews tangled in their own cables. Security scattered everywhere, trying to control what couldn't be controlled. Bruce moved through it calmly. Some recognized him from the Green Hornet. Others simply noticed the way he moved, the economy of motion, the perfect balance. He navigated the maze of hallways until he reached the corridor where the fighters' dressing rooms were located. At the end of that corridor stood two men. One was ordinary. Standard arena security. The other was a monster. His name was Raymond. 6'8". 450 pounds. Not fat. Pure intimidating bulk built on a frame of former athletic glory. He'd been a college football player, a defensive lineman with a promising future until injuries and bad decisions ended it all. After football, he'd worked as an enforcer for criminal organizations in Chicago. Collecting debts. Sending messages. Breaking bones when words weren't enough. Eventually, Ali's manager hired him for legitimate work. It was the best paying job Raymond had ever had. And he took it seriously. Raymond's face looked carved from granite with a dull axe. His nose sat crooked, broken at least 5 times. Small eyes that showed no warmth, no humor. A mouth set in a permanent scowl. This was a man who had hurt people for money and enjoyed it. His suit was custom-made, specially tailored for his massive frame. But even expert tailoring couldn't hide the raw physical power underneath. Shoulders so broad he had to turn sideways through doorways. Hands the size of catcher's mitts, scarred knuckles telling stories of violence.
I don't owe you
a neck
anything.
thick as a tree trunk.
Everyone pays their debts.
Bruce approached respectfully.
You think you can walk away?
He stopped a few feet from the door and spoke with a polite tone.
Everyone pays their debts.
Excuse me. I'm here to see Mohammed. We're friends. He'll want to see me before the fight. If you could just let him know Bruce Lee is here. Raymond looked down. Way down. The size difference was absurd. Raymond outweighed Bruce by more than 300 pounds. He was over a foot taller. To Raymond, Bruce looked like a child. Someone to be dismissed. Nobody gets in. Mr. Ali is preparing for his fight. No visitors. No exceptions. I understand. But if you just tell him Bruce Lee is here, I'm certain he'll want to see me. We've trained together. He knows me. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the president. Nobody gets in. Mr. Ali needs to focus. Move along before this becomes a problem. The other security guard shifted uncomfortably. He recognized Bruce Lee. But he wasn't about to contradict Raymond. Nobody contradicted Raymond. Listen, I've traveled from Los Angeles specifically to see Muhammad. This is his comeback fight. It's important. I just want to wish him well. 5 minutes. You deaf? Raymond took a step forward, using his immense size to intimidate, a tactic that had worked on literally everyone he'd ever encountered. He loomed over Bruce like a building, blocking out the overhead lights.
Everyone pays their
I
debts.
said move along, or I'll move you myself. And trust me, you don't want that. Bruce didn't move. Didn't back up even an inch. Didn't show any fear. He simply stood there, his mind calculating angles, distances, vulnerabilities. Always analyzing. Always 3 moves ahead. I don't want trouble. I just want to see my friend. Your friend? You think you're friends with Muhammad Ali? You're nobody. You make Chinese karate movies for kids. You're not a real fighter. Now get out of here before I throw you out. And if I have to throw you, you won't walk away. The smaller security guard winced. He knew that was the wrong thing to say. Something shifted in Bruce's energy. His face remained calm, but the air around him seemed to get heavier. The temperature in the corridor seemed to drop. I'm going to ask you one more time. Please tell Muhammad that Bruce Lee is here. After that, if he doesn't want to see me, I'll leave. But I deserve that courtesy. Raymond's response was to reach out and grab Bruce's chest. His massive hand covering Bruce's entire sternum, preparing to shove him backward down the corridor. It was a move Raymond had used 1,000 times. Grab. Shove. Intimidate. Simple. Effective. It had never failed. What happened next lasted less than 10 seconds. Bruce struck Raymond's extended arm. Not hard. Just a precise tap at the elbow joint. Raymond's arm buckled and retracted involuntarily. Before Raymond could process what happened, Bruce had stepped slightly to the side. His positioning perfect. Raymond, not used to being touched, not used to anyone daring to strike him, roared with rage. His face flooded with anger. This little Chinese man had just humiliated him. That couldn't stand. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Raymond lunged forward with shocking speed for a man his size. His massive hands reached to grab, to crush, to hurt. Bruce moved like water. Like smoke.
You think
like
you
something
can walk
that
away?
wasn't quite physical.
I don't owe you anything.
Raymond's
Everyone
hands
pays their
grasped
debts.
empty air. Bruce was no longer where he'd been a fraction of a second earlier. Raymond spun, confused, and threw a wild punch. A haymaker that would have taken Bruce's head off if it had connected. It didn't connect. Bruce ducked under it with minimal movement. Economical. Efficient. And as the punch passed over his head, Bruce struck. One punch. Precise. Focused. Not wild. Not angry. Simply technical. Bruce's fist connected with Raymond's solar plexus, the bundle of nerves just below the sternum, with perfect accuracy and perfect timing. The power that came from Bruce's 135-pound frame was absurd. Generated not from muscle mass, but from perfect body mechanics. From the kinetic chain that started in his feet, traveled through his legs, rotated through his hips, extended through his torso, and expressed itself through his fist. The 1-inch punch. Fully extended. Raymond's eyes went wide. The air exploded from his lungs. He'd been hit before. He'd been tackled by 300-pound linebackers running at full speed. But he'd never been hit like this. It wasn't about the force. It was about the precision. Bruce had hit exactly the right spot at exactly the right angle with exactly the right timing. Raymond doubled over, gasping, his hands going to his chest, trying to breathe, trying to understand what just happened. And then Bruce swept Raymond's lead leg. A simple technique. Basic. but executed with perfect timing. Raymond, already off balance, already struggling to breathe, went down. 450 pounds of Bodyguard crashed to the concrete floor with a sound like a car accident. The impact echoed through the corridor. Raymond lay on his back. Stunned. Embarrassed. Hurt. Trying to breathe. Trying to comprehend how a man a third his size had just put him on the ground. At that exact moment, the dressing room door opened. Muhammad Ali stepped out, wearing his boxing robe, his hands already wrapped. He'd heard the crash. He looked down at Raymond on the floor, then at Bruce standing calmly a few feet away. And immediately understood what had happened. Bruce. Man, what are you doing here? You should have told me you were coming. I tried. Your security was very thorough. Ali looked down at Raymond, who was slowly, painfully trying to sit up. Raymond, man, what happened? Why are you on the floor? Raymond, humiliated, struggling to breathe properly, tried to speak. He attacked me. I was just doing my job. Ali looked from Raymond to Bruce and back again.
Walk away?
Understanding dawned.
Everyone pays
Oh
their
no.
debts. Not me!
Raymond, please tell me you didn't try to stop Bruce Lee from seeing me. Please tell me you didn't put your hands on this man. I didn't know. He said he knew you, but everyone says that. I was protecting you. Ali sighed. A long, heavy sigh. He extended his hand to help Raymond up. The massive Bodyguard took it and, with Ali's help, got back to his feet. He stood there, embarrassed, still holding his chest, looking at Bruce with new eyes. Not anger now. Something else. Respect. Maybe even fear. Raymond, this is Bruce Lee. He's my friend. He's also probably the most dangerous man you'll ever meet. You're lucky he didn't really hurt you. If he'd wanted to hurt you, we'd be calling an ambulance right now. Raymond nodded slowly. Understanding. Bruce, I am so sorry. This is my fault. I should have told Raymond you might come. I apologize. It's fine. He was doing his job. I respect that. No hard feelings. Bruce looked at Raymond and gave a small nod of respect. Raymond, swallowing his pride, nodded back. Ali put his arm around Bruce's shoulders. Come on, man. I've got about 20 minutes before I head to the ring. Let's talk. I want to show you something I've been working on. They started into the dressing room, but Ali paused and turned back. Raymond, you're a good bodyguard. You're loyal. You're strong. You take your job seriously. I appreciate that. But you just learned an important lesson. Size doesn't mean everything. Technique matters. Timing matters. And never assume someone is harmless just because they're small. Raymond nodded. The lesson sinking in deep. Inside the dressing room, Bruce and Ali talked for 15 minutes. About movement. About breathing. About staying present in the moment. Bruce demonstrated a concept from Wing Chun about centerline theory. Ali showed Bruce a new combination he'd been developing. Two masters sharing knowledge. Each learning from the other. When it was time for Ali to head to the ring, he walked Bruce back to the corridor. Raymond was still there, back at his post, standing straight, but definitely moving more gingerly. Raymond, make sure Bruce gets a ringside seat. Best seat in the house. Raymond nodded. Yes, sir, Mr. Ali. He looked at Bruce. Mr. Lee, if you'll follow me, I'll take you to your seat personally. They walked through the backstage area together. An odd pair. The massive bodyguard and the compact martial artist. As they walked, Raymond spoke quietly. Mr. Lee, I need to apologize. I was disrespectful. I judged you by your size. That was ignorant. You were doing your job. Protecting someone you're responsible for. There's honor in that. No apology necessary. Can I ask you something? That punch. I've been hit by linebackers. I've been in street fights. I've never felt anything like that. How is that possible? Bruce smiled slightly. Because you were expecting power from muscle. What hit you was power from physics. From timing. From angles. From understanding how the human body works.
You think you can walk away?
I don't need to be strong.
I don't owe you anything.
I need to be
Everyone
precise.
pays their debts. Not me!
Raymond thought about that. Could you teach me that? If you're willing to learn, yes. But it requires humbling yourself. Admitting you don't know. Starting over. Most people aren't willing to do that. After tonight, I'm willing. Bruce gave Raymond his contact information in Los Angeles. They reached the ringside area. Raymond had Bruce seated in the second row. Perfect view of the ring. The fight itself was brutal. Competitive. Went the distance. Ali won by decision. As the referee raised his hand, Ali looked directly at Bruce's seat and pointed. A gesture of thanks. Bruce nodded back. Bruce slipped out quietly after the fight. Not wanting to intrude on Ali's moment. As he stepped into the cold New York night, he thought about the evening. He hadn't come here to fight. He'd come to support a friend. But sometimes life puts obstacles in your path. Sometimes a 450-pound bodyguard stands between you and where you need to be. And sometimes you have to move that obstacle. Not with anger. Not with ego. Just with technique. With precision. With the understanding that size doesn't determine the outcome. Skill does. 3 weeks later, Raymond showed up at Bruce's school in Los Angeles. Nervous. Uncertain. This massive man who had intimidated everyone he'd ever met, now standing humbly in a martial arts school, ready to learn. Bruce worked with him personally for months. Raymond would never be fast like Bruce. He'd never have that precision. But he learned principles. He learned how to use his size more efficiently. He learned that strength without technique is wasted. Most importantly, he learned humility. The other students were initially intimidated by Raymond's size. But they quickly learned what Bruce already knew. Size doesn't determine character. Raymond became one of the most respectful, most dedicated students Bruce ever taught. And whenever new students would come in cocky and confident, thinking their size or strength made them formidable, Raymond would tell them the story. The story of the night he learned that a 135-pound man could put a 450-pound man on the floor with one punch. The story spread throughout the bodyguard community. Raymond didn't hide what happened. He owned it. He used it as a teaching moment. Don't assume. Don't judge by appearance. Don't let your size make you arrogant. I outweighed Bruce Lee by over 300 pounds, and he put me down in seconds. Size is an advantage, but it's not everything. Muhammad Ali never forgot that night either. When people asked about the greatest fighters he'd ever seen, he would say, "I've sparred with Bruce Lee. I've seen what he can do. There's no contest. If it's in a ring with rules, maybe I have a chance. But in a real fight, Bruce would destroy me. He'd destroy anyone. He's not just fast. He's smart. He understands the body in ways that are almost supernatural." That endorsement from the greatest boxer in the world validated what martial artists had been saying for years. That Bruce Lee wasn't just an actor. Wasn't just a teacher. He was a legitimate, dangerous, highly skilled fighter who understood combat at a level few people ever reached. And it all started with a 450-pound bodyguard who learned the hardest lesson of his life on a concrete floor backstage at Madison Square Garden. The encounter lasted less than 10 seconds, but its impact would last a lifetime.